Hello and welcome to Designing a Successful Large Group Physical Education Program. My name is Dave Carney and I teach phys ed grades K through 5. This is part 4, technology. So the first question I need you to ask yourself is why tech? Why technology? Why is it important? Why should we use it? And what function is in play in phys ed? What I'd first say is don't be a dinosaur. Technology makes tasks easier. It is incorporated in standards. Technology is part of the standards. Our students need it, and by the way, they use it. So let's motivate them with it. And I'm not sure who said this, but I've heard this before at a conference. Teachers who use it will someday replace ones who don't. Now, I'm not saying you have to use technology all the time. Of course not. But technology is a part of not only your assessment and how you're graded on it as a teacher, but also those who utilize it. It makes life easier. It gets kids involved. And that's why I think it's very important. So now here are some ways to use tech in PE. You can project things like apps, provocation videos. I projected videos on Chukball and futsal, which is small group soccer. And I project just sporting games so they can see what it's like, an actual sporting event. You could project just gameplay so they can see how passes should be made, or like a power play passing around in hockey or soccer or something like that, different sports. You can show dance videos and they can follow along, especially if you're not a great dancer like me. I'm not a great dancer. Yoga, you can project yoga, which again, I'm not a yoga teacher. So if you project somebody doing yoga, you can be alongside the students and just follow along with the video. And also fitness videos. So similar to yoga, if you need some extra fitness moves, or if you're not a personal trainer, or you just need somebody to follow for specific instructions and how to do things, just showing videos from an accredited source is a great way to get the kids motivated and moving. Technology is also used in grading. Now you can use rubrics. There's a program called EduAssess, which I am one of the ambassadors for, which is an amazing platform for grading. It's real simple. Or even use like a numbers grade book that you could just set up on one iPad. And most of these are really simple. You don't need a ton of technology to do these. You could have one projector and one iPad in the first bullet. You could have one iPad or just your phone with the second one. So pretty basic things and with not a lot of technology. Now for discipline, you could use what we use right now is actually Google Forms for some serious, and just to make sure we have things covered, things that happen out at a PE, which just it's real simple, just kids' names, teacher's name, you can click the boxes for the grade level and just what happened, just so we have documentation. You can have, and that goes through a spreadsheet, or you just have spreadsheets set up on your phone or on your iPad. You can use Class Dojo in PE, but also in the classroom, which a lot of people do. And it's not as well known, but Classcraft is a really good program, especially if you have one class at a time or maybe two at the most. And then especially inside, it's a great motivational tool for discipline and also getting rewards. So just music and having your headset, that's technology right there. How you play your music, and that was covered in the last episode, was the platform you use and how you incorporate music. And if you have a headset, that definitely helps. I use it all the time, especially with large groups and in the wind, and it just makes things a lot easier and saves your voice. So as I said, one iPad or phone is enough. Now, it'd be great if I was one-to-one Chromebooks or one-to-one iPads, and some people are. But if you're not, you still can use one device to accomplish many of these goals with technology. And you need to use your technology or your Wi-Fi to your advantage. The Wi-Fi that I have is not great. I was told it was going to get better, and it hasn't yet. So do what you can do for your program. You can't do everything, and just do what you can do. Okay, this is my music system. Yes, it has a piece of tape on it, and this one actually broke. I'm getting a new one because these break quite a bit, but this is my headset, and I'd like it to be completely wireless, but it's not. It is wireless as far as I don't have to plug it into the system, which is on the right, but it is not wireless to my hip, and that's where some of the problems are with some of these headsets. But getting a headset is very key. This stereo system that I have is not for everyone. It's definitely not for every program. I just wanted to show this as an example that maybe you could show your administrator if you don't have one. I was told that this was actually made for almost like a stadium, like a football stadium, a high school. This is a very powerful music mixer, just amplifier, and it works well for me, but it's not for everybody. But this is definitely a good example of technology and something you should have. And this is actually my projector. I've shown this before, but I want to kind of go back and show what it looks like. And I'm outside. I have a projector. I think it's a must for every teacher to have a projector. This is, I use that piece on the left, the VGA to Lightning adapter, depending on your device. This goes to my iPad or my iPhone. And I project everything I said. I project websites and apps and dance videos and just different YouTube videos, things like that. And your goal is to create your own learning space, or my goal is, and I hope it's yours, to make sure it's your own program. You need to have some technology. It doesn't have to be a ton, but you need to have some technology. And here's some extra tech. Okay, for video delay. There's BAM video delay, and there's a video delay app just called Video Delay. So students can, let's say, throw a ball, or I use it quite a bit with when they do jumping skills, so they can jump over, like do a long jump, and then come back around, and if it's attached to like a tripod, they can come around and look and see how they did, their form. You get a video analysis. Huddle Technique is my favorite. Coach's Eye is just as good. It's Huddle Technique is free. At least there's a free version of it. Okay, you can break down a golf swing, you could break down a baseball swing, and you could put the lines to show the angles, all sorts of things. Huddle Technique and Coach's Eye are fantastic. For creation apps, you have iMovie, Explain Everything, Comic Life, GarageBand. These are things, if you have a lot of tech, kids can create their own, again, movies or just videos of them performing a certain skill. Explain Everything is great, especially if you have like a school account, and if you have access to multiple iPads. Same thing with Comic Life. They can make posters and many different things, even comics. And GarageBand, of course, for music. They can make their own music mixes. And for portfolios, we call them Sportfolios, Seesaw and Google Classroom are two of the best. It depends on how many students you have and how much technology you have, but they can, instead of just grading on a scale of SN or U or however you grade, this is a way to document their learning. And Seesaw is fantastic. It just it depends how much access you have, how many computers you have, and just how many students you have. For exit tickets, this is great. Google Forms, Plickers is fantastic. You could just scan the Plickers the way they turn either the magnets or the cards, and that could be their exit ticket for the day. So this is a lot of extra things you could do with technology. And now part 5, assessment. So yes, assessment, nothing anybody really likes to do. So first of all, ask yourself, why am I assessing? Is it important to me? Is it important to my administration? Is it part of my curriculum? Is it the standards that we have to do as in your district or in your state? The next question is, what's the best way? What's the best way to assess? There's many different ways of assessing, which we'll talk about in a moment. Okay, what are my grading policies based on? Again, mine is SN or U, but you could do an extra form, or maybe you do a different way of grading, but what are my grading policies? Is it participation, dressing out, their fitness, The standards, what do you grade on? And that's what you need to ask yourself. So another question is how? How should I assess? So the first way is summative. At the end of a test or end of a unit, you can have a test, which they'll take on a computer or a pencil and paper test. Authentic is probably one of the best. It just, again, depends on your number of students. It depends on your amount of tech. They could take a video of what they're currently working on so they can show their learning. They can make posters. They can do some kind of audio like podcasting or just audio on GarageBand and just tell what their group came up with. You could have portfolios or sportfolios like we talked about. So then formative, which I use quite a bit, you could have self-assessment like Google Forms. They could number themselves 1 to 4. Like they can go different corners based on what they think level they're at, and they can work their way up. And actually, Plickers goes really well with that. And what I call the gladiator: thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. So they can self-assess and just them obviously themselves and figure out where they are and where they need to be. So they can assess as a group or peer assess. They can assess each other by walk and talks, turn and talks. One of my favorite Kagan structures is Rally Coach, which they basically help each other. They coach each other along to try to get the right form, the right technique, the right questioning. So the $1 million question, what's the best way for you? So I would say review your program. How many students you have. Because for me, summative assessment is not the best way. Paper and pencil or computerized with so many students. I have over 1,100 students in my school. It'd be really hard to do summative assessment. Even for 3rd, 4th, 5th, it would just take a few days and too many days away from my program. So how often do you see your classes? Now, I do fortunately see my students 3 to 4 times a week. So there is time, and it depends on what your goals are for your unit or your program. So how much technology do you have? Are you 1-to-1? Are you 1-to-2? In my case, I have basically one iPad, one iPhone. I have a few computers in my room, and that's about it. So it's really hard sometimes to do the assessment I want to do, like the portfolios. I tried it, and it was just too many students and not enough inputting into the Seesaw website, because I didn't see them. Each class running through that just took too much time. I only had a few computers and a lot of kids, and it wasn't for me. I wanted it to be for me, but it didn't fit. So what are your goals? So you have to think about your program and how you want to assess, why is it important, what you want to assess, and just the goals you have for each unit. So these are all things to think about as you review your program. Oh, fitness testing. That's why I put yuck there. Fitness testing is a big yuck. There's always a lot of questions on fitness testing, how to do it, why we do it, and what it means for our grading policies. So before you start, check your state and local standards and requirements. So when I first started at my school, it was required 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade do FitnessGram. And then a few years later, FitnessGram, we lost the grant for it, and then it became just 4th grade. We had a test. And then now there's like a loophole and we don't test at all. So it's just things to think about. What are the grade levels? What's the type of testing? Again, it was FitnessGram. Now it's not. What are the testing windows? They used to be fall and spring, and we'd have certain times where we had to input the data. So also, is this part of the teacher, your end of year assessment? The first couple of years at my school, it was, and I think that's crazy. And I think most of you will agree that is just insane that me showing growth in push-ups or pacers was a requirement of my assessment. I think just between the district and my principal, they just didn't know how to assess me as a teacher, and this is part of it. So check all these before you begin your fitness program. So here's some options. FitnessGram or another standardized test, like a state test, or like maybe even a presidential fitness test, if that's still a thing. Okay, a hybrid model of FitnessGram, like use some things, like I love the Pacer. I think most of the kids enjoy that. They enjoy pushing themselves, not all, but a lot of them. And, maybe the push-ups, but the curl-ups were kind of, the form was not good. And the student's form was usually not good. It took a long time to test. The sit and reach was it just wasn't my favorite. So I like the Pacers and just some other things I could add in there. So kind of FitnessGram, kind of not. Just add your own, make your own testing up. You can make it inquiry based. Now I did this one year where I had the 4th and 5th graders decide on what they wanted to test on, either endurance or straight speed, or just their flexibility, things like that, so they can come up with something that they wanted to test on, and then a way to test it, pre and post test, and in between kind of work on it. It wasn't easy. I do enjoy it, but it was not easy for the students, and it took a lot of planning, a lot of work, which was okay, but it didn't come out quite the way that I wanted to come out. So maybe next time. Now, there is a Kids Ninja Fitness that is also available online. I think it's called Kids Ninja Fitness. I'm promoting that. That's actually from from the Ninja Warrior program. That's one of the teachers in my district put together. That he was on American Ninja Warrior. So this is something he does on Fridays. He has students work up their levels, kind of like gamification, where they can work up levels to the city qualifier, to the state qualifier kind of thing, if they do a certain amount of pull-ups or push-ups or whatever ones you want to test. But it's a really cool website. You should check it out. The other option is do nothing. Now, I'm not saying do nothing, but I want you to think about why you're testing. Kids do grow, and if you're teaching kindergarten through 5th grade, sometimes doing nothing, and just working on it in class in general, they're good form. Working on how properly, how to properly do a push-up or burpees or stretching. That's another option. So how to test. So you could pick a day and make it a choice base, like the Kids Ninja Fitness I talked about. So you could say Fridays we're going to test, and make it like a station, or have it again choice based where kids get to choose if they want to test or not. You could take a class a day and test. That's what I did with FitnessGram. So I take one class. I'd say you're doing push-ups today, and this other class is doing a game out in the field, and then this class is doing the curl-ups, things like that. You can let them test themselves and write their scores. I know some people do this. Kids can kind of test themselves or peer assess or peer test and then write down their scores. And I know some people kids write down they did like 1,000 push-ups, and the teachers say that's okay as long as they're having fun and trying. So that's totally up to you. But remember these things about fitness testing. Kids grow during the school year. So a 3rd grader is going to get taller and stronger. Same with a 4th grader and a 5th grader between fall and spring. So they do grow, they get bigger, they get stronger. The results shouldn't matter. We want them to be healthy, we want them to be active for life. But again, if they go from 10 push-ups to 11, we'll celebrate that. But I don't think we shouldn't make a big deal if a kid can only do 1 push-up or 2, as long as they're showing maybe growth, showing progress, and trying. So we're going to go for quality over quantity. I'd rather them do 5 good push-ups than 25 lousy ones, which I see quite a bit. So quality over quantity. And last thing, fitness testing is dumb. It just is. At this age level, kindergarten through 5th grade, it's not we have to do it mostly for the most part, but it's not something that I feel like, and I think most people agree, that should be done. We want to get them healthy, we want to get them active, we want to make sure they do have proper form in their exercises, but to test them and then possibly shame some of them, by the results, or make them feel that like they can't do something, and it's just not my favorite thing to do. So yes, you might have to do it. It might be required, but fitness testing is dumb. If you have any questions, please contact me at supersizephysed.com or email me, and I will be happy to get back to you. Thank you for tuning in today, and we will talk soon.